Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giranadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi
Jana Vallabha Giranadhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Banachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Banachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radhika Raman Giriju Ki Jai Ho. Om Agana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Maha Vandanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gora Tavashe Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my heartfelt Puspanjali to the lotus feet of my Harinam Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Second of all, to my Bhajan Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to the entire Guru Parampara, and especially to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and his Madhurya Kadambini. Well, today we start a new shower. We're starting shower 4. We finally left Anartha Nivriti. But actually we will find that in shower 4, there's a little bit left of Anartha Nivriti. We still have 5 persistent obstacles that need to be eradicated before we actually attain Nishta. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about them in this chapter because he says when we understand when these 5 persistent obstacles, which I will talk about later, are actually gone, then we'll understand we've come to Nishta. Until these 5 persistent obstacles are not gone, we're still in Anartha Nivriti, Bhajan Kriya, Sadhu Sangha. Because Sadhu Sangha, it's interesting, Sadhu Sangha is actually the core. Sadhu Sangha is always necessary and always a vital part of each stage. This stem here is Sadhu Sangha. In here is written, Sadhu Sangha is there at every stage. And always one of the most essential elements of our bhakti, having sadhu sangha. So now we've come to nishta, steady, unwavering bhakti. It isn't going to waver like before. We had anishita bhakti, we spoke about in shower 2. If you remember in shower 2, we talked about the 6 symptoms of unsteady bhakti. And that was, here, where are my glasses? Utsamayi. You're very enthusiastic in the beginning, and then when it gets a little hard, you lose your enthusiasm. Ganataralaha. That means sometimes you're doing well, and sometimes you're not. It's thick and thin. 3, Vyuda Vikalpa. Oscillating resolve. Should I get married? Should I not get married? Should I move to Vrindavan? Should I stay in wherever I am around the world? What should I do? 4, Vishaya Sangaraha. Struggling with sense enjoyment. Should I devour that pizza that just walked in the door? Or maybe I could share it with others. Or should I just eat it all myself? But actually, I'd given up eating these kind of things, and that's the 5th one, niyamakshama, inability to hold up vows. I vowed I'm not going to eat pizza for Chaturmasya, but this pizza just walked in the door. Oh my God. What will I do? I think I'll eat it. So we couldn't hold up our vow. And the 6th one, Taranga Rangini, enjoying the mundane benefits of bhakti. When one becomes a bhakta, we heard, and we understand, and we know, even in the beginning stages, a person, because he's given up, so many unwanted habits, especially, all these sinful, like illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, etc., intoxication, just the basics, What to speak of other things, he becomes quite effulgent. Devotees become effulgent and beautiful, not physically beautiful, but their whole being kind of takes on a beauty. and they become peaceful. So many attractive qualities come. And because of that, non-devotees or even other devotees start to glorify you or want your association, give you things like this. And wealth may come, followers may come. And instead of really giving them to your guru, giving them to Mahaprabhu, understanding they're not mine, whatever good qualities I have are just coming from Shri Guru and Gauranga. Really, it's not me, but keeping a little something. And so enjoying the benefits, the material benefits that come from bhakti. Yes, this is a big pitfall. Tarangarangini. Where is it? Right here. Mundane benefits can be very attractive, especially women and wealth, or men and wealth, depending on who you are, can be very, and one of them is like telling Hari Katha to the opposite sex, because really you're attracted to the person, not because you need to tell them Hari Katha. You see, like this, things like this. Okay, so now we're coming close to Nishta, steady bhakti, where these 6 symptoms of anishtita bhakti will be eradicated. They won't be there. All right, there'll be a little there, but it won't be anything that really disturbs our bhakti. Because what we spoke about for so long in the 3rd shower, anartha nivritti. Becoming free from our unwanted habits, our unwanted results from our offenses, all these things, anartha nivritti, unwanted things are going by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And in anartha nivritti, we had those anarthas coming from our past sinful activities, anarthas coming from our pious activities, just happiness, wanting to be happy, materially happy. Anarthas coming from imperfectly performed bhakti, namely wanting pratishta, wanting to be worshipped, wanting to be recognized, and obstacles coming from past offenses. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gave us a chart, actually. Any of you that have the book and are reading it, you saw that chart, which talks about the eradication of our of anarthas and the different stages. First there was, what do you call it? I can't always remember it was called, oops. Let's see, where should I put this? Is this good? Okay, I think that's good. It was called partial eradication. And that is in the stage of bhajana kriya. And in the stage of bhajana kriya, we had the anarthas coming from our pious and impious activities. They go fairly quickly, because you're starting to do bhajan. So your impious results and pious, these are quickly going. And so that came up to the stage of almost complete right away in bhajana kriya. But the anarthas coming from imperfectly practiced bhakti, and especially offenses, it was very partial in bhajana kriya. Then in nishta, where we're coming now, the anarthas from both your pious and impious activities and imperfectly performed bhakti, they're up to complete. How quickly they go. Complete. But the ones from offenses, a little above partial. It means extensive, very slow. The anarthas coming from offenses. And then in ruchi, which we will come to, the offenses from imperfectly performed bhakti, absolute. 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 And then in ashakti, also the anarthas coming from impious and pious activities, and of course, imperfectly performed bhakti, absolute. Absolute. But the anarthas coming from offenses, still only in an extensive, still very persistent. And then in Bhav, the anartas from, what do you call it, offenses, goes up a little bit, comes to almost complete in Bhav. And in Prem, it goes up to complete. And not until we actually attain Bhagavan's association, remember, is it absolutely eradicated, the anartas coming from offenses. Very difficult. But something that's very interesting is, we learn in this fourth shower, is that up until the stage of Nishta, the reason why we're so disturbed, we can't become steady. It's just not possible. We want to, we try, but we cannot. We did, because we'll talk about the 5 persistent obstacles, why we can't. But when we attain Nishta, it will come in this fourth shower, then there's no more, there's no disturbance, because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example. He says, up until you actually have Nishta and these 5 persistent obstacles that we're going to talk about are gone, it's like you have a sword. Someone has a sword, right? And with that sword, they're stabbing your heart. Well, you're going to be really disturbed. If you have a sword or a spear stabbing your heart, it's going to be hard to concentrate. It's going to be hard. You're going to be feeling unhappy, pain. He said, but in Nishta, there's no more piercing the heart. Whatever little traces of anartas are there, they're like harmless. They're in the background. There's some traces, like we see, there's traces of anartas coming from, until we reach Ruchi and Ashakti, even from pious and impious, imperfectly performed bhakti, and especially from aparads, but they're harmless. They don't disturb us the same. So we should be very eager to attain Nishta, so our heart is not being stabbed by spears. And there's no getting around it. This is truth for everyone. Everyone. Someone can try and hide it, but no, until they actually have Nishta. Then all the latent anartas will disturb us quite a bit, actually. And we won't be able to attain our aspirations. Even if our aspiration is just to become steady. Oh, I want to be able to get up at 3 o'clock every morning so I can do my sadhana bhajan nicely for Sri Guru. No way. No way. It might be for a while. I know when I lived in, when I joined the movement, ISKCON, in 1972, I was 25 years old. And I had a lot of energy. I was coming from a mountain climbing family, hiking, out like this, So I had a lot of good examples too. And I was pretty amazing for 10 years even. You could practically put the clock by me. I would get up, chant my rounds, go to the programs, go out and distribute the books, dress the deities. And I thought anyone who was sick was in Maya, because I just thought they were in Maya, Yeah, good old neophyte devotee, right? But sure enough, because for one thing, we were starting to do book distribution because we started to get in the mode of passion instead of being in the mode of goodness or even nirgun. We started to distribute books 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, that's a bit humanly impossible, actually, for the body. The body just doesn't do that. Unless you're a pure devotee, that's different. So, of course, after 10 years, I had a physical, mental, emotional breakdown. And I never wanted to distribute another book again in my life because of mental block. Not because I didn't like distributing books, but because, we had kind of not followed a good schedule of going out, let's say, distributing books 5 days a week or 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, and having a good program and taking care of your health, like this. And so, of course, it took me a year to kind of get my health back together. I couldn't even get up. I couldn't do anything. They certainly couldn't put the clock by me anymore. You know what I mean? And I started to become a bit more humble. I started to understand people who were sick, like this. And before I became sick, I remember one of my god sisters, when I was in this still very healthy and able to do everything really well externally. I remember one of my god sisters came to me and she said, Vrindavan, you're quite condescending. And I was shocked. I thought it was just perfect, you know. But actually it was true, because I was quite proud. I was quite proud, and I thought I was doing everything really good, probably better than everybody else, you know. So Krishna so kindly, as we read about in Anartha-nivritti, he gives us suffering, he gives us sickness, he gives us poverty or whatever, to make us humble and to make us more eager for pure bhakti, for real bhakti, you see. So now here, before I start explaining the 5 persistent obstacles, there's a first part of shower 4 where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining why he structures his book the way he does. And it's very interesting, because he brings up the question that someone might think that after describing in shower 2 unsteady bhakti, anishtita bhakti, why he didn't then describe nishta, steady bhakti. Why didn't shower 3 did he describe Anartha-nivritti? Why? Why did he do this? Now, I wouldn't think that, because I'm just too dull. I just, okay, he's doing this, that's fine with me. But he brings it up because some persons who are probably a bit more analytical might think, well, why didn't he put nishta after anishtita bhakti? And so he explains, and it's really beautiful actually. He uses the praman of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Srimad Mahaprabhu has said that Srimad Bhagavatam is the pure evidence. It is our praman. Praman means evidence for truth. So we use the Srimad Bhagavatam as our evidence, our topmost evidence. And of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that prem is our goal, right? And that Krishna is our object, our goal for prem. And Vrindavan is as worshipable as him. And the gopis, their method of worship is the topmost worship. And the evidence is Srimad Bhagavatam, like this. And so, in Srimad Bhagavatam, now in the very first part of the 4th shower, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm not so good at memorizing, so I'm going to read the verse. It's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 17 and 18. And these are beautiful. I remember when I was a new devotee, we were learning these verses. Prabhupada was speaking about this so much, because it's so important actually. Shrinvata swakata Krishna, punya shravana kirtanaha, hridyanta stohi abhadrani, vidinoti sarit satam. That's text 17. Nasta praeshu abhadreshu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, bhagavati uttama sloke, bhaktir bhavati naistiki. This very, very essential. So I'm going to read the translation, and then we'll talk about it. So the way Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is translating this is a little bit different than Prabhupada, because Prabhupada translated it for us monkeys who were coming out of the forest. And so he would make it very understandable for us. It wasn't always word by word. But this is the way Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is translated. Sri Krishna is the eternal well-wishing friend of the saints and of everyone. So Sri Krishna is our well-wishing friend. Both hearing and uttering his glories are purifying. Sri Krishna situates himself in the heart of those who hear his katha and destroys all their inauspicious tendencies. So Krishna himself. So that's the thing. In Shri Guru Charana Padma of Narottam Das Thakur, it says, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avidya Vinasayate. It's by the Harikatha of those who are unoffensive, those who are pure. Their pure Harikatha is Prem Bhakti. And it's Krishna coming and situating in the heart and cleansing away our inauspiciousness and all unwanted habits. And the proof is this verse here. But the Harikatha must be pure. It must be Krishna. It must be coming from someone who has Krishna. You see? It cleanses away. And then the second verse, 18. By continually serving Srimad Bhagavatam, Grunt Bhagavata, or by constantly rendering service to Bhagavan's pure devotee, Bhakta Bhagavat. So it's by serving Bhagavat. You have book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat. By serving them continually. What happens? The inauspiciousness in the heart is almost fully destroyed. It doesn't say fully destroyed. It says almost fully destroyed. And see, this is Nishta. There's still something there. It's almost destroyed by Krishna's mercy, by serving Bhagavat, book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat, sincerely and continually. Krishna himself is coming by hearing Bhagavat and serving Bhagavat. And he's cleansing, because how can we do? We cannot do. But it's Sri Guru, because by the Krishna's mercy follows Sri Guru's mercy, right? We heard that before in the second shower. So by serving and following the instructions of person Bhagavat and by hearing book Bhagavat from him, then Krishna is very happy. He says, yes, I'll come and sit. He's already sitting there. Paramatma's already there. You see? And he cleanses. So we cannot cleanse our heart ourselves. The only thing we can do is serve Bhagavan. Sincerely, like that, and continually. This is the process. Then, it is then that unflinching devotion, that's Naisiki Bhakti Nishta, to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is eulogized or praised by transcendental slokas, awakens within the heart. So that's why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, because of these verses, what happens is you have Anishchita Bhakti, which is this Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridi Antastohya Bhadrani Vinanoti Sarit Satam. The first verse is talking about someone who has unsteady bhakti. But by the process of hearing, Krishna comes and he cleanses the heart. So that's why after he's speaking about Anishchita Bhakti, he talks about Anartha Nivritti because of this verse. This is the proof. And then he talks about Nishta because that's in the next verse. After serving Bhagavat, book Bhagavata, person Bhagavat, then it says, almost all your inauspiciousness is destroyed, and at that time, then Nishtita Bhakti for Bhagavan comes in the heart by the mercy of Sri Guru and Krishna. So we're following Bhagavat. And also, Rupa Goswami, after Mahaprabhu came, at the time of Mahaprabhu, he made a sloka that's following this, actually. And we read about that in the very beginning of Madhurya Kadambini. And it's a very famous verse from his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it gives us the process that bhakti is to be followed and the way it manifests. How does bhakti manifest? So the verse is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 4, 15, and 16. Many of you probably know this verse. Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Atta Bhajana Kriya Tato Narta Nivritti Shat Tato Nishta Ruchis Tata Ashaktis Tato Bhavas Tata Prema Bhudanchati Sadhakana Mayam Premna Pradurbhave Bhavet Krama. So this is the system, the process for Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, and Narta Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, and Prem. So we have our Praman from Srimad Bhagavatam and from our Adi Guru Rupa Goswami. We're aspiring Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is trying to help us in our aspiration to attain to become pure Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It is said that he's a second manifestation of Rupa Goswami. So he's very kind. trying to help us. This book is so important, actually. But it's not always so easy to understand. And so here we are in the fourth shower. And so the 5 persistent obstacles that if we still have, we'll understand we don't have Nishta. They're here, right before Nishta. See, we're still in Anartha-nivritti actually, but it's being spoken about in Nishta. What is the first one? This first one is called Laya. And what is that? Sleep. Sleepiness. Isn't it? Sleepiness. When we're chanting japa, when we're hearing Harikatha, uncontrollable sleepiness comes. Isn't it? A persistent obstacle. No matter what we do, we try to, even we get so much rest, doesn't matter. Still, that sleep will come. And the amazing thing about sleep, sleep, is that it's a disease. It's actually a disease. And you'll see if you're sitting in Harikatha and you're starting to yawn and you're starting to go to sleep, then everyone around you will start to yawn and go to sleep too. And it just spreads. Isn't it? You know? It just spreads like that. Except for those who are in a higher stage of bhakti, they don't succumb because they actually have a taste. See, it means that we don't really have a taste for japa, for harinam, or for harikatha. We have maybe some little, but we don't really have a taste. And you know sometimes, or you're chanting your mantras, not just japa, but you're chanting your mantras, and you really want to do them nicely for Sri Guru, right? And for Krishna. And also for your own enjoyment. We're not pure yet, so we also want to enjoy, you know. So, but no matter how hard you try, you've even got plenty of rest, and you get to wherever you get in your mantras, and then, oh my gosh, here it comes, isn't it? So, Laya, persistent obstacle. The only thing we can do is keep trying, keep praying, keep begging for Sri Guru and Krishna to help us, to clear our hearts from this obstacle of sleepiness, you know. Now, we can't imitate the great devotees, but there was a great devotee who was a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His name was Narahari Seva Vigraha. And he was called the mother of the Gaudiya Math. He was so kind and so loving to all the devotees and so inspiring. Even my Srila Prabhupada, he says that he missed Narahari Seva Vigraha as much as he missed his Gurudev. That's how much he entered the hearts of his god brothers, like this. He was so kind, he would go around in the middle of the night to all the new young boys and he would help them, you know, if they were having trouble in the night, passing urine or something, you know. He was always helping them. And in the daytime. So he had no time really to chant or anything, but still he was always chanting. I mean, maybe not on his mala. And so they would find him at night sometimes, and he would be chanting on his mala, and his sika would be tied to something. And then, why is it? He says, because I don't want to fall asleep. You know, because he was so tired, you know, because he didn't sleep. Now, we can't really imitate this. We'd probably just hang there and sleep, you know. But he had a taste for serving the devotees, for hearing Harikatha, for the holy name. So we pray for that taste to come. So that's Laya, sleep. Number 2. Number 2 is Vikshep. Vikshepa. That means, oh, this one's really insidious. Really. Oh, and this first one, Laya, comes from the mode of ignorance. Now this Vikshep comes from the mode of passion. This is where we're thinking and remembering all kinds of various topics related to mundane life at the time of hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. So isn't it? You have your hand in your bead bag, and you're wandering around, and you run into someone, and you think, oh, how are you today? You know, and you're still thinking you're chanting, and you start talking all kinds of gossip while you're chanting. Or you may not even have to do that. Run into someone. You may just be sitting there, chanting, and the mind goes to past impressions, isn't it? Some movie that you saw 10 years ago might pop up. Or you might think, oh, wow, I got to go to the ATM and get some money out so I can pay my rent. Anything. Or the pizza may just fly in, right? So this is the thing, Vikshepa. Mundane topics just don't leave our mind. Or we're even hearing Harikatha, and we just really want to hear. And Sri Guru is telling such wonderful pastimes of Krishna, or such nice tattva. And the mind just goes. The mind just goes. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, that person over there, they got the funniest, like, look at their sika, it's really weird, you know? Or you're sitting there and some noise goes by outside, and well, I wonder what that was, you know? This is, this is it. This is it. This is Vikshepa, coming from the mode of passion. And then, so we can't really keep our fixed number of rounds and taste the nectar of the holy name. We're lucky if we can maybe taste a few holy names that are really nectar. Okay. Number 3, apratipatti. This one's very interesting. It also comes from the mode of ignorance. This is, there may not be sleepiness. There may not even be mundane thoughts coming. But we just can't do our sadhana. It means incompetence. We just can't do it. We just can't do it. I just can't. I just can't do it. I'm going to, you just can't do it. Apratipatti. Incompetence. Not capable. You might be able to do a little bit, but then you just can't do it. Very difficult. This is the mode of ignorance also. You're not sleepy. You just can't do it. Don't have the taste, really. We don't have the taste. And so we just kind of become, we kind of like merge into, how do you say, it's just neutrality, kind of like, it's kind of like there, and you just kind of like, you know what I mean? Really, this could happen. Or then when that comes up, then one can go off into other things. Like the very last one we talk about, apratihata can lead to the last one, that's rasasvada. And it's because we lack enthusiasm, this apratipatti. And it's said by all of our acharyas that enthusiasm is the life of bhajan. So if we don't have enthusiasm, that's Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita, isn't it? We have to have utsaham, enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, not possible to engage in bhakti. So our mind isn't going in it, but we have no enthusiasm. Why? Lack of sadhu sangha. If we're around those who are enthusiastic, we become enthusiastic. If we're around those that aren't sleeping, also sadhu, then we won't sleep so much. Or what was the other one? It was Vikshepa. Mundane thoughts. If you're around those who aren't engaging in gossip and having their mind wandering here and there, most likely you won't so much have this problem. Sadhu Sangha is the key to overcoming these 5 persistent obstacles. So number 4, Kashai. This is tendency to pass bad habits, or you might say contaminated consciousness. It gives an example here. You might be hearing and chanting like that, and what happens? Due to previous impressions, for hardly anything, you'll become angry. Anger will come, if you happen to have been an angry person. Or lust will come. What else it says? Or false ego, greed for wealth. These things will just come, just out of nowhere. Like, you might be sitting there chanting, thinking, trying, and then someone just comes in, just happens to come in the door. And they don't really realize, and they just go, Haribo. And you go, you're bothering me, what are you doing? Get out of here. And you were supposed to be nicely chanting Hare Krishna. Especially this happens when you have to live with other persons. When you're by yourself, I'd say sleep is probably more of a problem, incompetence. But this one particularly comes when you live in a brahmacharini ashram with 5 other ladies in your room, or if you're married and you got a husband and a wife, and just the way they comb their hair annoys you. This is the problem, having a material conditioning. This is material conditioning. We have likes and dislikes. And there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing the other person can do about it either. Just the way their noses might agitate you. This is material conditioning, isn't it? Likes and dislikes. And for no reason you'll get angry, or you'll get proud, or you'll start wanting some money. You start forgetting that Krishna will take care of everything, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's like, somehow or other I need some money, I need some wealth, I need something because I need to buy a nicer dhoti or a nicer sari, or I need to pay my rent, and you're just, but usually that's basics, but you want more. You want to be able to, it costs money, I need to go on, there's a trip going to Charudam, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Jamunotri, Ganganotri, and it costs so much money to go on the bus, so I need some money. So you start thinking about this. So you get a little envious because so-and-so over there has got plenty of money and they don't have to think about getting the money to go on the bus. But you're pretty poor, trying to think about maybe someone could help me. I really want to go to Charodam. And where's your Harinam? It's out the door because you're worried about you want to get this money so you can go here and there. You see? False ego. Well, I thought I really gave the nicest Harikatha. And it's coming out on YouTube. But I only got 400 views, and that my Godsister got 800 views. Well, wait a minute. Well, they didn't count right. No. You know what I mean? Or you're giving Harikatha, and nowadays everything's by technology, right? So it usually comes out on Facebook or WhatsApp or Zoom, whatever. And you're thinking, well, I wonder how many views I'm going to get. Instead of just thinking, well, I hope I'm just the messenger carrier for Shri Guru. I don't really need to worry about who's watching it, who isn't. That's up to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would always say, even if no one comes, the 4 walls are hearing, or also the demigods are hearing. We don't see them like this. And we should also understand that whatever Harikatha we are giving has been given to us. It is not ours. It is not due to my good qualities. No, it's due to having Sri Guru has given this message, and we're delivering this message, hopefully untampered with. We're delivering the message of Sri Guru, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not ours. Wow. We should get so proud of our Harikatha? No. Or our Kirtan. Oh, when I sing Kirtan, everybody cries. Like this. So, this is Kashai. Contaminated consciousness, past bad habits coming up. A very persistent obstacle Very persistent obstacle. And the last one, Rashasvada. Rashasvada, it means that, let's see how it says. Oh, when you're hearing and chanting, you cannot enjoy material pleasure at the same time. So, when we're absorbed, so Rasasvada means that the mind is absorbed in material enjoyment, therefore we can't hear and chant. We really can't. The best you can do in that situation is you have your hand in your bead bag, or you try to, and you're like a robot. You know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 while you're watching a movie, right? Because you just want to watch this is really a good, it depends on your taste. Some people like horror movies, some people like romantic movies, some people like this and that, you know. But you got to chant your 16 rounds, right? So your hands in your bead bag, and you just, whoa, you know, into your sense gratification. And it doesn't have to be a movie, it's just on your phone, right? The phone is one of the biggest sources of rasasvada, material sense enjoyment, isn't it? You can just go to YouTube, you can just go to Facebook, you can just go anywhere. And you can still have your hand in your bead bag, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, ooh, you know, like this, you know? Or even like, you know, one has to be very careful. Even it can be, of course this is better, but it can be like quasi-spiritual. You know, you have your little phone there, or you have your video, or whatever it is, and you're watching a trek to Gangotri, which is a very spiritual place. Or you're watching the Navadvip Dham Parikrama, right? But that's not the highest form of Harinam, is it? Harinam is when we're hearing the holy name. And we're begging and we're crying and we're absorbed in the holy name. We have a taste for chanting and crying out. And eventually, Krishna himself will come. He'll reveal himself through the holy name. Some actual vision of Krishna will come, like for Narada Muni. Narada Muni, he was so fortunate. He did so many austerities. And finally, Narayan came and gave him a vision. And then he disappeared. And Narada Muni was heartbroken, because when you have a vision of Krishna, you lose all taste for sense gratification. So if we all think, oh, in my dreams I saw Radharani, because you hear this, people say, oh, I dreamt of Radharani, I dreamt of Krishna, or I had a vision. But what is the result? Did they lose their taste for sense gratification or not? If they didn't, then what was that? Because if you actually have a vision of Krishna or Radharani or any of the pure devotees, you will lose your taste for sense gratification. So Narada Muni, he lost his taste, and he was weeping, and Narayan had an aerial voice. He spoke to him in an aerial voice. He says, I've done this to increase your eagerness. You had one desire left. It was a desire in the mode of goodness. You wanted to do bhajan in a lonely place and have me come in your bhajan. But still, that's the mode of goodness. It's a desire. So until all this Prarabdha karma is gone, you have to go all over the world chanting Hare Krishna. But because now that eagerness is so strong, you will attain your goal. So is it. We read in the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni was chanting and chanting, so eager, going everywhere, Radharaman, Haribo. And when the time was right, when Krishna bestowed his mercy, he dropped his material body, attained his spiritual body just like this. He wouldn't even know. He didn't even know. Like this. This is chanting with eagerness, you see. So Krishna may give us some little mercy, but the mercy is we'll lose a taste for material sense enjoyment. If we're not losing our taste, then We're down here and we still got these 5 persistent obstacles, which one of them is rasasvada. And we can be chanting, but we have more taste for sense gratification than for bhakti. And at what to do at this stage, because you can't imitate. We cannot imitate Narada Muni. You can try, but it's not going to work. If we have desire for material sense gratification, we have desire for material sense enjoyment. That's that. So we have to try and always have the best association of those who don't have the desire for sense gratification. And if you're thinking, well, I'm living in Chicago, America, or I'm living in Caracas, Venezuela, and there's nobody around like that, then you're quite wrong. You have to understand that Book Bhagavad is there. And what is Book Bhagavad? Book Bhagavad is all the person Bhagavats. There is Maharaj Bharat. There are the gopis. There is Uddhava. There is Sukadev Goswami. You see, like this. What to speak of the Chaitanya Charitamrita? What to speak of all the scriptures that are coming down through our Guru Parampara? That is the association. You have to take shelter. Properly, you should read out loud so you're hearing. You read out loud, loudly, like this. Prabhupada was amazing. I remember when I first was in Los Angeles, and none of us could really chant the Sanskrit very well. He would have someone chant, and then we were supposed to chant, and we didn't do so well. So Prabhupada, he told us, he said, every one of you should chant a chapter of Bhagavatam every day. I actually did that for many years, and I know it really helped me. So I was chanting the Sanskrit and reading the English every day. And if it was a long chapter, I might do a half a chapter, but like this. But you're hearing. And also, just by saying the name, that's why we have Mangalacharanam. That's why we have Jayadwani. Do you think Mahaprabhu is different than his name? If you do, that's a second offense to the holy name. And no wonder we're having trouble. We're committing offenses to the holy name. And that's why we do kirtan. So there is association, but the problem is we have this, what was that? Apratihata, apratipati. That was it. We know all these things, but we just can't do it. We're incompetent. We just can't do it. We know it's right, but we just would rather go read a mundane book, or or the other one. This is the real cop-out. But it's our mind, so it's really tough. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So we just spend days in misery, thinking about how we can't do it. And I'm so suffering, and I'm here, and me. Instead of just picking up a book and doing it. You see, we get caught by Maya into depression, isn't it? And someone can get so depressed they commit suicide. So at this point, we have to beg for mercy. Beg for that mercy to somehow to be able to have the spiritual strength to pick up a Shastra and take shelter. A Bhagavad, book Bhagavad, person Bhagavad. Pick up a picture of your Gurudev and sing to your Gurudev. Pray to your Gurudev. And phone someone up that is like, a little bit more advanced than you, that can help you, that can preach to you. Take sadhu sangha and Bhagavad seva, like this. When we do that, then Krishna comes, and who's more powerful than Krishna? Who's actually more attractive than Krishna? No one. So he will attract us, and he will give us the strength to be able to practice bhakti, and he will clear all the anarthas from our heart, or at least almost. It will take time, but at least to get to nista, almost all the inauspicious things will come. And then finally, we won't have all the spears stabbing us in the heart anymore. And we will be able to peacefully, a little bit more peacefully, practice our bhajan so that quickly we can reach ruchi. And in ruchi then is so much, because taste. Up until Ruchi, even in Nishta, one has to use one's intelligence, isn't it? By intelligence, one has to preach to himself, or one has to go to someone who's got intelligence who can preach to you. But in Ruchi, you actually have some taste. That's another thing. Taste. What to speak of a Shakti, you have deep attachment and taste. Then Bhav. Okay, so I think that we can stop here. Yeah? Oh, okay. So, so let's see here. So we have, oh yes. So why are we studying these 5 persistent obstacles? Because we can understand that when we have them, I spoke about this earlier, we don't have Nishta yet. Because sometimes we think, yeah, I'm pretty steady, but no, like that. So there's a nice verse that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes when he's talking about someone who actually has Nishta. This is also from Srimad Bhagavatam. He always uses Bhagavatam as a praman, as the evidence. And this is the 2 verses that come after the first 2 verses that we just read. We just read Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2, what was it? 1, 2, 17 and 18. So this is 1, 2, and he quotes the last line of 18, and then he quotes text 19. So the next verse. We've come up to, what was it? We've come up to, by continually serving the Bhagavad, the inauspicious things in the heart is almost fully destroyed. And Krishna, he's so kind, he awakens within our heart nistika, I can't ever say it, bhakti. Okay, so the next text, Tada rajas tamo bhava, kama loba dayaschaye, cheta eter anavidam, stitam sattve prasidati. So then this is the stage of Nishta. Upon the awakening of unflinching determination in bhakti, that's Nishta bhakti, when you have Nishta, the modes that arise due to the material modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, greed, and so on, no longer contaminate the heart of the sadhak. You see? Thus his heart, being situated in Suddha Sattva, pure transcendence, obtains complete happiness. So even in the stage of Nishta, this kind of happiness can come. So we need to hear. We need to hear about what is real happiness. And we need to have association with those who have this happiness. And of those who at least have faith in it, even if they don't have it. That's the sadhu sangha. So that we won't be complacent. This is what happens in bhakti. We become complacent. Because this is that old habit coming up. That's the kashai. We have to get complacent. We know, this is what we know. Okay. This is what we know. It's familiar, and I just have to accept that I'm pretty fallen. And it's going to take me a few lifetimes, so, yeah. We go on chanting Hare Krishna, watching movies, doing this and that. We go on doing everything. But no. We have to have an aspiration. We have to have an aspiration and no, this is not good enough. I'm not happy. I'm miserable, actually. I am not happy. I've heard. This is when you hear Bhagavatam, or you hear about, or Chaitanya Charitamrita, you hear about the pure devotees, the happiness that they are feeling from serving Chaitanya, from the kirtans of Mahaprabhu. Just read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the ecstasy the devotees are feeling. Are we feeling that? No. So we should be aspiring for a higher happiness. And that means aspiring for pure bhakti, prem bhakti, and becoming selfless and actually attaining prem, which is our goal. And prem is something that is for the satisfaction of Shri Guru and Krishna. Okay? Haribo, we'll stop here. Jai Ho. Vanchakalpatarishta, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Jaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gandharva Giridhari Radhe.
Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Gandharva Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva.
Nitai Gaura Haribol,
Haribol.
Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol,
Nitai Gaura Haribol. 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. I was going to say one more thing. And that's about this enthusiasm that we have to have. If we don't have enthusiasm, we'll never get past these 5 persistent obstacles. And so we should understand, one thing that makes us not enthusiastic is that we think, oh my God, it's so long, it's so hard, I'll never make it, it's going to take so long. If we understand it can be done in one lifetime. It can be done in one lifetime. If we believe that and if we try for it, it may not happen, but we'll be enthusiastic. If we'll actually understand, yes, if I do now, and my guru, he can do this. My guru's coming from Goloka Vrindavan. He can certainly do this. He can take me back if I want and if I try, like this. And also, if we think, okay, whatever you want, Sri Guru, whatever you want, but let me just please you. You see, we have to get some power, some strength, spiritual strength into our sadhana bhajan, like this. Some hope. Rupa Goswami, I'm hope against hope. That's Rupa Goswami. Asha Bandhu. Asha Bindu? Whatever it was. Hope. Hope. Never give up hope. We're always hopeful. Okay. Vancha kalpatarista kripa sindhu vyebhita patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.